Structural integrity diagnostics in progress. Combat protocol on standby.
Who are you? Give me one good reason why I shouldn't reduce you to dust where you stand. He what? No, absolutely not. That experiment cost me everything I held dear. I was a fool to try it. Sovor of all people should know that. The only thing I want is to put an end to Bolan's misery. You want to make things right? Help me free his soul from its machine prison. Do that, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be willing to entertain this insanity. Remove the Black Soul Gem from his factotum body and return it to me. He'll resist you, and as that machine, Bolan is extremely dangerous. He nearly killed me during his last episode. In the meantime, I'll contact Sovor, but no promises. My lover. When I was still an apostle. He was mortally wounded in an accident, beyond any hope of survival, but I couldn't accept that. I was enlightened, so I saved his life by transferring his spirit into a factotum. Bolan's consciousness took over the factotum, but the experience changed him. He always had a wild, creative mind, and I confined it to a cold, rigid prison. That stifled existence was too much to bear. It drove him mad. More than certain. Every moment that he lingers in that mechanical shell is torture. For both of us. Just don't damage the Black Soul Gem. Honestly, I'm not sure you could. But just be careful. Bolan's moods are unpredictable. In his rare lucid moments, I try to reach out to him. But no matter what I try, I only ever seem to get him worked up into a frenzy. Seeing him like that makes me wish I wouldn't blame him if he killed me. I don't know. I'd like nothing more than to smash it into 1,000 pieces. But there's no guarantee that that would redeem Bolan's soul. I've been so focused on finding and stopping that factotum that I haven't really considered what would come after.
I'm still here. I won't go.
Surveying area. Result. No obstructions detected.
Dust aside, the equipment is in good order. We just need the vessel, and we can begin.
Is that them? Have they returned? The world feels so heavy now.
This is dredging up so many unpleasant memories. Please tell me you've managed to show Bolin some measure of peace. That's something, at least. I've agreed to attempt my experiment again with Sovar as my subject. He's promised to petition the Order to end my exile, if I'm successful. But I couldn't care less about that. I just want this to be over. The truth is, I need Sovar as much as he needs me. I think the only way I can safely extract Bolin's soul from the gem is to offer it something in exchange. Who knows if I'll ever have another willing subject? Can I count on your assistance? I'd like you close at hand in case Sovar has a similar reaction to the experiment as Bolin. Throw that switch when you're ready to begin the transfer. I'll keep watch on the equipment from here.
What are you waiting for? Every moment we delay tempts death to snatch me away.
It's begun. Now would be the time to pray.
I have faith in Lord Sexton's. Observe, learn, apply. Trust in his grand design. Sublime. This order.
Ifre, I can feel. Thank you. I can feel.
I think it worked. Please, please let it have worked. Is it him? Is that really my Bolin, or just what's left? Will he hate me? Will he even recognize me? I can't do this. I can't face him. I know. It's better than not knowing, always wondering, but thank you for ending this. I need a moment. I don't think Bolin has long. Bolin? Is it you? Speak to me. I need to know it's still you, please.
Terrory? When did we get so old? It's time now, isn't it?
It is. You're free now. I'm sorry for all the pain it caused.
Enough tears, love. We're liable to rust. There. That's the smile.
I am one with Lord Set's grand design. I can feel my purpose in my very core. My mind is free of the clutter of my living needs. I am no longer burdened by the weight of my decaying flesh. I am free. Thank you. All cogs drive the mechanism. Removing any one from the chain, no matter how small, results in failure. I would no longer exist without the both of you. As promised, I will ensure Terror's reinstatement to the Order. All cogs drive the mechanism. They will need to be convinced of many things. My authenticity, my condition, Terror's reintroduction. Have faith that their flaws will be corrected. Continue the quest for understanding. It has always been my purpose, and I have never been better suited for it. In this form, I may labor as tirelessly as Lord Set himself. I have never been better. I may never be better. I only regret not undergoing this self-improvement sooner. The Order was faulty in denying Terror's genius. I must correct this error. There is one place where my condition would not be considered unusual. The Asylum Sanctorium. The resident alienists there can best evaluate my psyche. A stable transference will be welcome news.
Did you see? Bolin! It was him. He seemed whole again. Oh yes. He does seem to be coping well, or he's at least more sedate in his insanity. Don't worry. I'll keep watch over him, and make sure he doesn't lapse into some violent fugue. He'd been suffering for so long. I'm glad his passing was a peaceful one. I have to hope that wherever he finds to rest, he's the same beautiful soul I remember, not the tormented mind I saw in that machine. Sover seems convinced that the Clockwork Apostles need a mind like mine. I won't hold my breath waiting for them to agree. I'll keep in his company for a while, at least until I'm convinced he's stable. After that, I really can't say. Maybe it's Sovor's faith in Sophaciel's wisdom, or his willingness or understanding of the transition, or maybe he's just better suited to it. Bolin wasn't a Clockwork Apostle, and I made that choice for him. It was a selfish mistake. I'd mostly accepted that there would be no end to my punishment. I don't know that I can believe all this might work out in the end. I'll be watchful, not hopeful, for a while yet. I will try. I haven't had much cause for celebration in a long time. Out of practice. It's going to take some work.
Capable combatants needed for hazardous work. Please respond for more information.
He's not looking, is he? It's all right. Let it all out.
I tried. You know, I think it's better on the way out.
Mind yourself around Solace. He's a mean one with friends in high places. Helps him keep his monopoly on the mushroom trade.
How dare you, Kermit? Your mother wanted a better future for you.
Because a factotum with delusions of grandeur told her fortune. Do you really believe that?
She believed it. Why can't you see?
See what? That following the predictions of a deluded machine got my mother killed? I'll prove the prognosticator is a fraud. See if I don't!
Please, unless you have gold to spare or something other than paste to eat, just leave me alone.
That display of emotion isn't indicative of the people of Slagtown. Khamid lost his mother in the last pilgrimage, and that's made him angry at the world. He has a point, though. Dreams and prophecies can be dangerous things. Once every season, the most brave and desperate members of our community make the journey to request a fortune from the Grand Prognosticator. Not everyone receives a prediction, but many have died hoping to have their destinies changed. An oracle of sorts. It's an unusual factotum with a penchant for the mystical and the dramatic. I fear Khamid plans to do something foolish and dangerous. Perhaps you'd be willing to go to the Outlaw's Refuge and talk to him? Keep him safe? Thank you, my friend. My old bones aren't up to another adventure, but I owe it to Khamid's mother to do whatever I can to keep him safe. The Grand Prognosticator spits out fortunes the way a sawmill spits out lumber. All the same until one isn't. More or less. Something about abject poverty and a miserable existence. But every once in a great while, the factotum provides a different prophecy. I received such a fortune when I made my pilgrimage so many years ago. A fortune of hope, of riches beyond my wildest dreams. It spoke of a way to escape this life, but I wasn't brave enough to heed the prognosticator's words. Khamid calls the oracle a fraud. Maybe so, but even a cracked egg sometimes contains a scrib.
So much to do.
Don't worry. I won't quote scripture to you. After all, it seems Lord Set's wisdom is unappreciated by most auxiliaries.
Lord Silverseal. Do you need your clothes washed? Your hair washed?
Please tell me you have our supplies. I can't take any more bad news today. Oh, you've done Slagtown a great service, Hotshot. You don't know how hard it can be to watch the little ones shiver at night. Take this reward and my thanks. I hope you'll choose to work with us again. No requests coming through at the moment. Check back later.
Go find another beggar to bother. I've got more important things to do than carry some apostle's hopeful sack of dirty laundry. Paul Batten's an old fool and a coward. He knows that the prognosticator provides nothing but false hope and dangerous dreams to our people. That's what got my mother killed. I swore I'd never let another person get caught up in its games. Prove that the prognosticator is a liar and a fraud. It tells them over and over again how terrible life is, and then once every generation it provides an actual fortune to keep them coming back. So I'm going to the Vale of Tears to destroy it. You want to help? I won't refuse, though I don't have anything to give you, if that's what you're after. The Vale of Tears lies to the southwest. If you really want to help, meet me there. I've never gone on a pilgrimage, but I've heard tales. The poor and weak will continue to be poor and weak. We'll live a miserable existence and then die from hunger or sickness. Cheerful, right? Makes you wonder why we keep asking the question. Because every once in a great while it actually spits out a different prediction. Something about finding a lost treasure and attaining enough wealth to change the course of your destiny. Or something close enough to that to get everyone excited. Of course I believe that! Why else would I want to prove the prognosticator wrong? I want to show everyone that we can make our own futures. We can shape our own destinies, despite what some malfunctioning factotum has to say.
He's not looking, is he? It's all right. Let it all out.
I tried.
Hello again, friend. Don't mind the smell, just baking up a sort of clay souffle. I'm really scraping the bottom of the ingredient barrel right now. Any luck with those mushrooms? That's great! Let's have a look, eh? Why, that slimy son of a script... He's been lying through his teeth! I could have been growing these mushrooms the whole time. Still, his pickling recipe is just what I needed to make use of them. Great work. I hate the way people look down on slag towners. Maybe it's not enough that I help feed these people something worth eating. We're always going to be struggling until the snooty folks on high see we have something to contribute. Produce something that doesn't just help us get by, but makes people up top take notice. I'd love to take something from my homeland and give it its own Slagtown flair. We had some root liqueur that would have been perfect, but we drank all we had. No, I can't imagine how hard something like that is to come by in Clockwork City. Maurice never did say how he came by a case of it, but I'm not one to pry. Couldn't hurt to do some asking around though, right? I really appreciate you volunteering for all this. Not many in Clockwork City who'd stop to spit on us down here, let alone do us a kindness. Oh yes, uncommon stuff. Created by Bosmer ages ago in secret using Elden Root clippings. Blasphemous against the Green Pact, they say. Me? I don't think I've ever even seen the color green. Never had the stuff before I stumbled on Maurice's stash. Well, it's pretty sweet, you see, and almost syrupy as it is. Reckon it'd make a great base for marinade. Much better than boiler coolant, that much I'm certain. When you put it like that, it does seem like a lot to take on. But hey, I don't think they could think any less of us as it is, so no harm in trying.
Hey, Bren, maybe send your friend to the guild traders. They traffic in all sorts.
Not a bad idea. They wouldn't give us the time of day, but I bet they'd be eager to help a cutting figure such as yourself.
Think I'm gonna take a stroll. A little smoky in here. No offense.
I'll be here, airing the place out, if you have any luck with those guild traders.
Tawaka's breath. You will talk to me! Say something, damn it! The prognosticator refuses to talk to me. I request a fortune and receive only silence. Is that what my mother died for? I will destroy the false prophet, but not by taking a hammer to its shell. Instead, I'll show my people that it isn't infallible. I'll destroy it by proving that the predictions it makes are blatant lies. To do this, we have to activate the machine. As part of every pilgrimage, the faithful have to descend into the Vale of Tears and secure a working animo core from one of the factotums that roam the area. Head down there and see if any of them have a working power source. I'll figure out how to turn the factotum on and get it to make a prediction. Look, I can't go down there. My mother's body... If I found it, I'd lose the resolve to finish this. And I have to finish this. I hope you understand. Be careful in the Vale. It's dangerous down there.
Factotum beacon activated. Initiating security protocols. Factotum beacon activated. Initiating security protocols. Memory artifact pre-registered. Storm cognitive maintenance required. Reflecting. Reflecting. Memory engaged. Gathering data. The Grass Fortress. Beginning evaluation and analysis. By Set's will, please state your query. We count the number of people residing within the Brass Fortress, tracking births, deaths, illnesses, relative wealth, and poverty, all with the purpose of evaluating and predicting social trends and growth within Lord Set's creation. Intriguing query. That is one interpretation of our analytical capability. The ongoing purpose of collecting and analyzing such information is to provide Sotha Seal with the data he needs to improve the lives of his subjects. Query. Reflecting. Reflecting. That information is currently unavailable. Please return to the Brass Fortress and seek out a Clockwork Apostle for further assistance in this matter.
Dreaming. Squid jelly. A rainy day.
I am a first-generation analysis model factotum, specializing in gathering and analyzing data for and about the citizens of the Brass Fortress. My gears continue to spin true. Beginning analysis to chart possible outcomes. No relevant data in memory vaults. Error. Error. No pronouncements can be furnished without statistics to analyze. Please present yourself to a Clockwork Apostle for immediate data collection.
Were you able to find an animo core? I see you've brought back an animo core. It works, I assume. Good job. While you were gone, I figured out where to install the core. There's a cavity in the machine that looks to be about the right size. I think it goes in there. I'm not sure. I never went on a pilgrimage, so I've never seen the Grand Prognosticator in operation. My mother told me a few stories. She was always vague about the Oracle. Speaking of my mother, did you find anything else down there? How did you know? Oh, you found her. I didn't want to imagine what happened to her, but after seeing what you went through down there... Wait, how did you learn my mother's name if you just found her body? Let me see that. A passphrase. My mother never mentioned anything about a passphrase. I wonder what she hoped to learn by talking to an obsolete factotum. I remember something about a sacred text, though. I'll ask Palbatan about it later.
Reflecting. Memory engaged. By the will of Set, please state your query.
It worked! Prognosticator, tell me what the Fates have in store for Comet of Slagtown.
Reflecting. Charting possible outcomes. Comet of Slagtown. Minimum income. Inferior quality of life.
Great, you know all about me. But what does it mean? What's my future, you stupid construct?
Query. Reflecting. Prognostication unsatisfactory. Poor quality of life will lead to sickness, starvation, depression, and ultimately, death.
Perfectly dire. Just what I expected. And what about my friend here?
Reflecting. Reflecting. No relevant data in memory vaults. Error occurred. Please present yourself for immediate data collection.
Interesting. The prognosticator doesn't have a prophecy for you. More proof that it uses what it knows to make calculated guesses. But it predicted doom and gloom for me. Now I can change my future and show everyone that our fate isn't fixed. By doing the impossible, I'll find the lost treasure of the Radius. In the past, the pilgrimage included both a visit to the prognosticator and a search for the treasure. That changed after a lot of people died during an unsuccessful hunt. Palbatan survived that doomed hunt. I'll get him to tell me exactly what happened. Then, I can retrace their steps, avoid their mistakes, and find enough wealth to change my fortune. Let's go find the old man in the Brass Fortress.
By the word of Set, I am bound. No pronouncements can be furnished without proper statistics to analyze. Please provide the appropriate passphrase or present yourself to a Clockwork Apostle for immediate data collection. By the word of Set, invalid passphrase provided. Please present yourself to Sotha Seal's honored assistant to rectify the situation.
Don't look away.
Are you sure about this, Comet? Remember what happened to your mother?
With the Outsider's help, that treasure is as good as mine. Then everyone will see that the Prognosticator is a fraud!
When I asked you to help Khamid, this wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I want to see our people abandon the reckless pilgrimage to the Grand Prognosticator. But going after the treasure is just as dangerous, maybe even more so. Khamid seeks to replace one foolish pilgrimage with another. Very well. I can tell you that the treasure exists. I've seen the wreckage of the merchant caravan myself, but getting close enough to recover it, impossible. Because of the massive fabricant that prowls the area. Gear Grinder is bigger than 3 brawny Nords and 100 times more dangerous. It slaughtered the pilgrims that attempted to recover the treasure. I was the only survivor. I'm still uncomfortable with all this, but I can see that you and Khamid are determined. The wreckage lies scattered far to the south, near the mountains that form the southern border of the radius. Gear Grinder is a killer. Please, keep Khamid safe. Before you go, Khamid mentioned you found Malia's journal. He said it contained a passphrase and mentioned Sotha Seal's honored assistant. Is that true? I'm sorry to say that when I was a young man, I came across a sequence plaque that belonged to one of Sotha Seal's original assistants, an apostle called Albacron. The plaque contained a series of passphrases. That's how I found the lost treasure. They allowed me to change the nature of my pilgrimage. I was able to get the Prognosticator to tell me how to locate the lost treasure of the Radius, thus altering my future. Or so I hoped. But the Fabricant... Maybe our fates are set after all. I'm not sure how I feel, not anymore. But I didn't give Malia the passphrase. She must have found the plaque where I hid it. Maybe if she hadn't... When you return from the wreckage, if you return, I'll tell you more about the passphrases.
I can't believe Palbatin revealed the location. Now we can show my people that the Prognosticator isn't infallible. That we can forge our own destinies. I'll meet you near the wrecked caravan, and we can figure out how to deal with Gear Grinder.
Hey, you. Working with Brengelin. Come this way. I overheard you talking to Bren about the root liquor, and I had to intervene before you took off on some wild guar chase. Oh, I know you won't. That rare stock was a batch of counterfeit hooch I was trying to pass off on a wealthy mark, but she caught wise. When Bren got into it, I didn't have the heart to tell him it wasn't the real thing. I only made one batch. Suppose I could, but I based it off stuff that isn't easily come by. A part of the mix is Wellspring hooch, and I have on good authority that some students of the catalog of rote duplication keep a stash. Off limits, but that's not the hard part. The other main ingredient can't be found in Clockwork City. Stuff was stolen from the private reserve of some silk shirt in Port Hunding. Even if you could get out of this ticking prison, you'd have to smuggle a crate of the stuff back here. I'll believe you when I see it. If you do pull it off, meet me in Slagtown.
Corrupted. Please try again.
You did it! Thanks to you, we found the lost treasure. This proves the prognosticator isn't an oracle. It's just a machine. Not a very good one at that. Now I can show the people of Slagtown that we're not prisoners to destiny. Yes, my friend, spices. Wonderful, delicious spices. That's the most valuable treasure of all, when your diet consists of nothing but flavorless paste. This will not only improve our lives, it will show my people that our fate is not set in stone. More than that, spices are as rare as a blade of grass in a city of metal. Wealthy mages and apostles will pay dearly for such a tempting treat. But I need to be cautious. Others will try to steal this treasure. I need to hide it to keep it safe. Return to Slagtown and meet me there. Then we can show my people how we changed the outcome of the prognosticator's prediction and improved my destiny. I just wish my mother had lived to see this day. I've called a few people together so I can tell them what we've done. Hopefully, word will then spread throughout Slagtown and all of the Brass Fortress. Palbatin and I talked about my mother. We don't think she saw the prediction from the Oracle. We think she was out there trying to do the same thing as me. She was trying to figure out how the prognosticator works so she could get it to change our fortunes. Palbatin believes she acquired the passphrase from the sequence plaque he hid away. That's our best guess. She was trying to help us. All of us. I just wish she had told me. That she hadn't tried to do it on her own. Well, thanks to you, I succeeded where she failed. Now we just have to convince the rest of Slagtown. Art. That's not something you hear a lot about in a place that runs on gears and cogs. Here. This is your share of the treasure. You earned it. Oh, and Palbatin wants you to meet him in the Outlaw's Refuge afterward. He has something for you, too. People of Slagtown, I bring you a revelation. The prognosticator lies, but we can change our fortunes. We have free will.
Comet, the apostles say there's no such thing as free will.
What you're implying is heresy, Comet.
Is it hearsay to speak the truth? I performed the pilgrimage. I received the usual grim fortune that predicted I'd be poor until I died. But that future is a false future. I refused to accept that fate, and I changed it. And if I can do it, so can you.
Oh, really? You look just as destitute as you did yesterday, Comet. Maybe even more so.
I found the lost treasure of the Radius. I made a deal to sell some of the spices, and this is the contract. I'm rich!
So we can change our fate? The future isn't a set sequence?
We have to tell everyone. Comet changed the future. The prognosticator was wrong.
I haven't eaten in so long.
Sorry for the clandestine request, but I have words meant for your ears only. What you and Kamid learned, what he convinced Slagtown about the Grand Prognosticator, well, it's not entirely accurate. No, you figured out how the Prognosticator makes its predictions, but the factotum has a defect, a sequencing error, as it were. You see, it can also actually prophesy the future. The pilgrimage needed to be discredited. People were going out into the Vale and getting killed for no good reason. But just because the message has been corrupted doesn't mean the messenger wasn't worth listening to. Because the people of Slagtown never had the right passphrase. Malia jotted the one for the analyst in her journal, but she made no mention of the one for the prognosticator. I had it, though. That's why my fortune was different. Then it's even more imperative that I give you the plaque. The prognosticator must have a prophecy to reveal, but it won't speak unless you provide the proper passphrase. Take the honored assistant's plaque and learn the fate that awaits you. Sorry for the clandestine request, but I have words meant for your ears only.
By the word of Set, I am bound. No pronouncements can be furnished without proper statistics to analyze. Please provide the appropriate passphrase or present yourself to a Clockwork Apostle for immediate data collection. Initializing. Reflecting. Reflecting. Unauthorized prophetic element engaged. Analyzing proximate subject. Determining wealth and social status. Permission to continue. Wealth and social status analysis complete. Indicates a poverty-level income and a social status of a slave or indentured servant. Reflecting. Health and wellness analyzer engaged. Permission to continue? Health and wellness analysis complete. Indicates an exceptional constitution and the stamina of a warrior or adventurer. Unfortunate. Such individuals lead exceptionally brief lives. Hold. Disengaging prophetic inhibitor. Prophecy imminent.
Dreaming. 1 niche. 2 niche.
Prophecy complete. I see an island, a tower, 3 princes, darkness spreading across the land. I see a golden night and an unexpected sacrifice. I see an end. Everything must perish. That is the way of all reality. But the end that I see, you can alter the outcome. The variables indicate a minuscule percentage point in your favor. A chance. Lord Set and the 3 willing. Reflecting. Reflecting. Probabilities calculated. Odds generated. Demise certainty. 99.99%. And Somerset is the sequence of the words. Please observe all safety protocols when traveling in the radius. Diagnostics complete. Response time within acceptable parameters. descend.
Integral of memory detected. Would you be so kind as to insert it into my forehead ridge?
You've returned in one piece. How gleaming! In your absence, I've set up a framework to contain the factotum while we assemble its parts. I'll have you do the honors. Of installing the integral of memory. You heard the head. Insert the crystal into its forehead ridge. And don't worry, you won't break it. Sotha-Seal builds his creations to last.
Reflecting. Oh, I feel positively spring-loaded now. What a kind, generous apostle you are, which I recall is rather strange. Reflecting. I've come to the conclusion that I am. I have no memory stored of any of my kind who are older. So I conclude that I must be the first. How gleaming. I cannot recall my name, but you may call me Precursor. Of course. Let me check my integral of memory. Should be right. Great Sotha-Seal in the sanctum. Someone's tampered with my crystalline memory matrix. But wait, something's burned in here. I seem to have left a note for myself. Ahem. Salutations, me. By now you must be wondering what happened to our memory. Dark forces have conspired to corrupt our knowledge of the world. But do not fear. I, the past you, have stored our memory in our other parts. A circumstance I have not accounted for. This is me now, not the message. I recall that my design includes both Dwemer and Clockwork parts. I also recall my blueprint, so I can guide my assembly once you find my parts. Sotha-Seal guide you, Apostle. I don't quite understand. I function only to know my Lord Sotha-Seal and his apostles. You are not my lord, and thus you must be an apostle. Simple. Do you have an inquiry, or perhaps a task for me, Apostle?
Astounding! The first factotum Sotha-Seal created. We simply must complete construction now. The more memory it recalls, the further my research can develop. Council seat, here I come! The Precursor mentioned he was made of Clockwork and Dwemer parts. I'd keep an eye out for the former as you travel around Clockwork City, and search Dwemer ruins out in Tamriel for the latter. And of course, I have your reward as promised.
Apostle, I have remembered something. Come quickly before it rusts. My integral of reason lies within metal jaws in a wasteland of rubbish. I'm sure there's an analogy there, but I'll need the integral to tell you it. Lord Sotha-Seal deemed it uncouth to give my parts eyes, but each has a wide array of sensors. I can orient myself on Nirn by the air's smell and the earth's feel. Why, my pelvis even has gustatory sensors. I suspect that's Lord Vivek's contribution. I mean, of course, I have no proof that he had a part in my creation, but I like to think so. My dramatic flair, my poetic soul, it helps set me apart from the rest of my siblings. To sense, to touch, to feel, what gifts I have been given.
Remember, the parts are most likely in the Clockwork City, or in Dwemer ruins in Tamriel. I've heard of corrupted memory crystals firing at random, so you may want to return occasionally to see if the Precursor knows anything new. There's no way to be sure short of asking Lord Set, but many signs point that way. The dwarven influences, the different coloring, the male voice. Not to mention, he's more, shall we say, loquacious than your average factotum. Factotums don't have emotions or individuality. They say whatever they're functioned to say, nothing more. But this one seems to have a personality of sorts. For what reason, though? We have to continue our research if we're to find that out.
Oh, my poor right arm. It's going to rust at this rate, what with all the steam. Quick, you'll find it in southern Bankorai. Grab it before it's too late. Lord Sothasil deemed it uncouth to give my parts eyes, but each...
I can't believe Vox smashed St. Velos Reliquary. Thank you.
If you're looking for a handout, keep looking. I have a hard enough time keeping this mangy dog fed. Let me guess. Orenol sent you to let me know he'll be on his adventure for another few weeks, yeah? Well, you go right on back to him and tell him this. Dogs are expensive. He's going to compensate me for all I've spent feeding this root-ass mutt. What? He's dead? How in Ifra's name did that happen? Orenol's dead? I can barely believe it. My cousin always did crave adventure, but he was always so careful. I never thought... No matter. I know why you're here. It's about the dog, isn't it? I always knew he loved her more than he let on. I suppose I have to. I'll admit, the mutt's more useful than most. She at least keeps the rats at bay. Besides, I don't think anyone else would. Thank you for letting me know. Here's something for your troubles.
Well met, traveler. What brings you out to Fell's Run? You know about Aunt Dulza? How? She's been missing for over 20 years now, ever since she set out to Craglorn to deliver a shipment. Steel and stone. We all suspected it, of course. Aunt Dulza was stubborn as a pack mule when it came to deliveries. When she never arrived in Dragonstar... Still, Can't help but hold on to hope sometimes. What? You managed to recover the Gro-Morkel clan's ancestral sword? Let me see that. By Moloch's jawbone, it is the sword! Returned after all this time. Another reason we knew Aunt Dulzah was dead. She'd never let that sword be lost. This means more than you know. The Gro-Morkel clan had all but given up finding this sword again. Now we can finally return to Orsinium with our heads high. Thank you. Your actions deserve a greater reward than this, but it's been a slow year.
Ingrid Van speaks highly of you. If you're high in her esteem, you're high in mine.
Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with the people in this.
May Set's divine clockwork protect you, resident.
Hello, my friend. It's so good to see you again. Wish I had more time to talk, but my current tasks have me very busy. Us initiates never seem to have a moment to spare. Yes, my plan worked perfectly, thanks to you. Once I got my report into the right hands, I was immediately offered a position. They even put me in charge of continuing repairs. Our time together really opened my eyes. I realized how integral you were to my initial success. Not every task can be accomplished alone, after all. So, when I began having trouble maintaining the halls, I sought the guidance of the Apostles. The Apostles may be wise, but they severely lack common sense sometimes. They'd rather tinker with deadly machines than study the regulation of their own water supply. It seems that everyone was either unlearned or simply uninterested in maintenance. And I happily accept it. My current project is understanding why the repair factotums refuse to continue maintenance. Once I have them functioning properly, all should be well. In the meantime, we'll need volunteers to provide needed upkeep.
Find a way out of this wasteland, with or without the help of those Clockwork Apostles.